Welcome to the Navigating Cancer Together podcast. My name is Talea Dindy. I am a 10-year cancer thriver, cancer doula, and owner of On the Other Side. I use my experience to help others get on the other side of cancer. This podcast is about sharing stories, resources, and information about all things related to cancer and wellness. I interview guests from all walks of life who are living with cancer, caregivers, and those who made it on the other side. Also, I talk with organizations, healthcare professionals, and experts in the health and wellness spaces who offer complementary and integrative care. Join me. We are in this together. Hello, and welcome to Navigating Cancer Together. I am Talea Dindy, your gracious host, and today our special guest is Dr. Krishna Bhatta. Welcome, Dr. Bhatta.
Thank you, Talaya.
It's so nice to have you here today. I can't wait to dive into all the wonderful work that you're doing. And so, first, I'll start off with an introduction. Dr. Bhatta, MD, FRCS, is an author, a surgeon, and an inventor. Currently practicing as Chief of Urology at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center in Bangor, Maine. Dr. Bhatta began his life in a small Indian village. He attended Patna Medical College in India, continued his education in the UK, and then completed his research and medical training at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston and Harvard University before settling down in Maine. His wife, Leica, is an OBGYN, and their two children are also physicians. Dr. Bhatta is a former president of Maine Medical Association and Maine Urology Society. Dr. Bhatta is equal parts practical and spiritual, who developed a fascination with spiritual studies early in life. His book is Journey from Life to Life, Achieving Higher Purpose. Dr. Bhatta is also the founder of a new meditation app, and it's called Relaxx. It was created to help develop peace, happiness, and prosperity. We all could use some of that. Welcome again, Dr. Bhatta.
Thank you, Talaya, very much. That was very good introduction. And I don't know what to say. It feels like, bigger than I am.
I am so happy to have you. And, I just want to commend you on all the wonderful work that you're doing to help foster healing and happiness in the lives of so many people. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about, your background and just who you are as a person.
Well, you said most of it. I am a person like you and I and everybody else. I just enjoyed the meditation journey as much I enjoyed the medicine journey. And at some time, I thought it helped me, find the balance in life. And I could do things like and not feel so much stressed. So I thought, these tools that I have learned, can I share it with people? So that's what I'm trying to share. Aside from the journey of medicine, where I have learned, I've become kind of trained well in many of the techniques, and including robotic surgery. So I can share that knowledge with somebody who is new. I can share the meditation knowledge with somebody who doesn't have that experience.
That's wonderful. One thing that I read about you was that you bridge the gap between Western and Eastern philosophy by answering spiritual questions with a practical bent of mind. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, there are two things, Talaya. One is some people try to make spirituality complex
Mm-hmm.
or meditation as complex phenomena, like you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I try to say that no, it's simple. Life is simple. Everything in it should be simple. So most of the techniques that you will see in the app or anything that you see in the book, starts from grassroots level. It is, it's not something that will go over your head. And that's how medicine is. Once you know it and once you have a good training, it becomes simple. It becomes part of your life.
Absolutely. And I think that when we have those tools that are very easy to use, we're more likely to continue using those and implement them in our daily lives.
Exactly. Like I'll give you a simple example. They will say for mind that you should, focus your mind on something,
Mm-hmm.
or they will say that you should calm your mind. And that is an impossible task because mind, I call it mind is minding.
Mm.
Its job is minding. It will keep doing that. It's like water has a property that you cannot give it a shape without a container.
Mm-hmm.
The same way, if you have this mind and you try to, like bring it to a place where it doesn't have the ripples, it won't happen. So there has to be something different that you have to do to understand that mind is separate from you. Kind of that separation, once it happens, once you create a higher energy in you, you are a much different person. So the higher energy you are living, the more peaceful you are. The lower energy you have, more irritable you are. So it's all an energy phenomena, which different countries have given different names. Like we say chakras in the eastern side.
Mm-hmm.
In Chinese, they will say qi. In Japanese, they will say, different names are there for this energy. People all experience some energy inside us. And that energy is what I call body, mind, and flame, the
Mm.
flame of consciousness. That is the place where I think the work is needed. And so we have to focus in the right place. The second part, many people have brought the Eastern thinking and processes to West, but tried to give it a Western flavor
Mm.
or change it to a Western, customize it. And there is nothing wrong with that. And it has worked well for many years. But it's time now to bring the authentic Eastern principles and practices as they are, you know, to the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. I thought that was really interesting, and I really appreciate you breaking that down and sharing that with us because I'm sure that will help a lot of the listeners right now understand that. And it's so interesting how we use things, but we change them from their original format over and over again. And I think sometimes it's really important to just go back to the root of how something really started and stick with that because more than likely it was started that way for a reason.
It's funny you mentioned that to me. It's like I went to a Chinese restaurant in our place, and there's a very sweet lady, and she said, "Do you want American Chinese or do you want Chinese Chinese?" so,
And that's
so
a fair question.
yeah, so it was interesting. You don't get that question in many restaurants, but she was friendly and nice. And
That's a fair
was,
question. But a great example of what we're talking about.
yeah.
And there is a difference. So Dr. Bada, as you know, our audience is mainly comprised of people from the cancer community. And so, how do you share the news with someone that they have been diagnosed with cancer? Because hearing those words can be very traumatic. How do you share that with your patients?
So Talaya, it's like it's a for me. I mean, I'm a physician and I am an uro-oncologist. I do that. One thing I realized, and this is very personal, is that it's not how you tell the diagnosis, it's what's your relationship with the patient. So
Mm.
have you developed a relationship that the patient trusts what you are saying? Or, it's like a trusting, friendly relationship in a way rather than, doctor is telling the patient, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of relationship. And then everything, happens more smoothly. I mean, it's never easy for any doctor or any healthcare provider to break the news that you have the C word in. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's something that's painful, that hurts, and different people respond differently. I mean, sometimes they respond, they're the tough guy, especially in Maine. Everybody is a macho, tough person. They won't show it. So you also have to know that the inside it hurts them as much as somebody who expresses better, or,
Mm-hmm.
or or the wife or the daughter who is there. So it's something that you build more than just the news that you are breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense to you? I mean,
It does. It really does make sense. And I think you touched on it, the relationship. And I think a lot of times, so many patients have bad experiences because they don't have that relationship with the doctor. And some doctors just don't have that type of bedside manner where they are able to connect with their patients. And that's so important. Like you said, especially sharing news like you have cancer, the relationship matters.
to me,
It's
it does. I'm
mm-hmm,
not criticizing anyone, because
correct.
there is a training, I mean, they are all trained well, by
Mm-hmm,
the time they come to this place. But yes, relationship to me is very important. I think it makes a big difference. And
mm-hmm.
you will find that, in my books or the communication style is, even though you are reading, you might feel that I'm there, or the author is there.
That's important because making that connection, forming those relationships, I really think that in some ways is a part of healing as well. Because if patients feel safe and connected with their healthcare team, I think it makes it that much easier for them to feel safe, to not worry all the time about, you know, is am I getting the right treatment, the right care? And so that makes a huge difference in the healing process.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that part.
Okay. So how do you help your patients navigate cancer?
I mean, navigation is a bigger process. Of course, the part that we do is the medical part.
Mm-hmm.
So they may require to have an oncologist or a nurse in the office. We have dedicated, the whole system. But I usually tell them not to make the decision first time they hear the news.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage them to go and have a second opinion. It doesn't hurt me. At least they feel comfortable that yes, they can go and talk to somebody, about that. And then of course there is a team approach. There is an oncologist, there is, all kind of other people who sometimes are in the background, and sometimes the patient can go and talk to them. So we have a whole team. And so that's the medical side of it. Of course, there is a family side, the support side. That one we encourage them to, talk to their friends, or open up to people, some people, rather than keep it all close themselves. And we give them enough information, because information is power.
Yes.
But still, it's not easy. I mean, unless you can make all the things. So one on my simple tip is that coexistence
Mm-hmm.
and limitations. These are the two things that for me, it is important, because, and I think it's important for anybody. We are all born with some qualities and potentials, but we
Yes.
are also born with some limitations. Like, I'm not 6 feet tall,
Mm-hmm.
but do I live with my height of 5'7", or somebody is 5 feet? I mean, are they living with that? We
Mm-hmm.
learn to live with that limitation. I can't fly myself, but then we go and fly in airplanes, right? So
Yes.
we are all born with some limitations. As we grow older, some limitations come to us. Diabetes comes, blood pressure comes, and we don't like any of those.
Hmm.
And yes, cancer is a bigger limitation, but once it comes, it's not going to go away.
Right.
I mean, you can cure it, you can contain it, you can manage it, but that C word is going to stay with you.
I agree. And even
So,
into,
so
go
you
ahead.
learn to coexist with it, and you
Hmm.
have to learn. Sooner you learn, it's better.
I
It's a
agree.
question of how long you will take to adjust. So you can deny in the denial phase, or bury this head in the sand, but ultimately you have to coexist with that. So that's one thing, I think is important for whoever has got a new diagnosis to know.
Hmm.
And then it's a question of how do you manage it. I mean,
Right.
some you can cure, some you can't cure, but that limitation, our boundaries, all have boundaries, and add
Hmm.
another boundary.
I agree. And you made a great point. I think the sooner that one is able to coexist with their diagnosis, the sooner that they can get on the path of healing and start to make, adjustments or changes or whatever that they have to do to make sure that they get back to as healthy a state as possible. And but it's tough.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times sometimes I think back, even though I had my diagnosis 10 years ago, sometimes when someone shares with me that they've just been diagnosed with cancer, it's like I'm taken back to that moment when I heard those words. And so I immediately connect with their pain and fear and all of those things. So it's
So
important.
very important, but it's a public knowledge for you. So I'm not breaking something new. You
Mm-hmm.
had chemotherapy. The
Mm-hmm.
chemotherapy will be tough. So you prepare yourself for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go through that, as I said, coexistence is my new keyword for for life and for meditation too. So we'll come to that. But it's an important thing to learn that we have to coexist with our surroundings and our limitations.
I love that. And Dr. Bhatta, is this something that's practiced on your app, or are there certain tools on your app that address coexistence?
Um, well, I mean, yes, the meditations, all the meditations that are there.
Okay.
So, so once we get into you are coexisting in the outer universe, right? You
Mm-hmm.
and me are here. We are coexisting, and we met today, and we like it or we don't like it, but we are there, and so the same way there is an inner universe, and in that inner universe there is it's not an empty space.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of your thoughts, your ideas. One of the problem is that when you close your eyes, most of think most of us think that it's all inside our head. It's not inside your head. It's out there in the universe, or the energy universe, or consciousness universe, that is individual to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you have to learn to coexist. Your thoughts will be there, your anger will be there, your jealousy will be there. All of them are there, hanging out, in suspended, motion or something. And it's just, it's a good place to be. Once you get the hang of going there,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we talked, before we started.
Mm-hmm.
I call it intermittent silence.
Yes.
So, if you start practicing intermittent silence, it's just 10 minutes a day of intermittent, time that you spend with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We are not used to spending time with ourselves. So in the beginning, it can be an uncomfortable silence.
Yes.
It's like, when is 10 minutes going to be over? So you can you can have a background music that helps. But once you get the hang of it, and once you start looking inside your inner universe and see how rich it is,
Mm-hmm.
then new doors start opening up.
Mm-hmm.
And there also you have to learn to coexist with everything that is there.
Yes. You know, Dr. Bada, you made a good point about silence. Once I really got comfortable with silence and I started to crave it,
Yeah.
that's one thing that I noticed. It was like, okay, I have to have it quiet now. There's too much going on. I need some downtime. And that's one thing that's very powerful about it. Just having that silence is like when you get in that spot and you're comfortable, you really crave it. And I really think that it's a part of self care.
Talaya, you got the craving for the silence. Once you get into the meditation where you create energy and you can feel that energy, that's addictive,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
because that's the part of meditation that hasn't been really, you know, focused on, at least in the Western part.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you feel that energy, and it's like going through entire body and vibrant, and then what happens is that you are living at a different level. All your problems don't go away. Your cancer doesn't go away. Your baby may have fever, that doesn't go away. But
Mm-hmm.
the way you deal with when you're in a higher energy state is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to deal with things, but it's
Yeah.
just a different level of coexistence.
Yes, that's so true. And another thing I wanted to touch on, we've talked about intermittent silence, we've talked about meditation. How does mindfulness play a part in this also?
So mindfulness, has as many meanings as you talk to people. For
Mm-hmm.
me, mind has two sides. And one is called minding, which is, some people call it names like monkey mind. I tell them, be friends with your mind, because if you start
Mm.
calling your mind names, it's your mind. It's like you're telling names to yourself. So, so just be friends with your mind. And the
Mm-hmm.
minding is something that has brought us all this success, the NASA, or going to Parker Solar, going to Sun, or all this virtue and universities and everything has been because of our minding part of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mindfulness is, on the other hand, is just like a camcorder or a camera. So it's a recording thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you turn it on, you record everything. So one way to practice that part of mindfulness is like, in the morning, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just just tell yourself that you will do everything, mindful. So you're brushing your teeth, you're taking shower, you feel all the, things that the shower head or whatever, just feel everything, just be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mindfulness. Many people teach mindfulness in some sort of, guided meditation, or
Yes.
be in the moment. Those things are, they have meaning, and they have uh, virtue, they have got benefits. But this is what actually mindfulness is, at least according to me.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great point, Dr. Bada, because one thing that I really recognize is that you have to slow down to be mindful. It's hard to be mindful when you're constantly doing and running and going here and going there. Practicing mindfulness forces you to slow down.
Talaya, that's a matter of practice as well. So, talk of a sportsman, or talk of, the SEAL, the like commando trained people. They are also mindful. They are best trained in mindfulness, because they know they can see or feel things.
That.
So, the training of a soldier, or a commando, or training of a sportsman has a lot of mindfulness in that. They may not call it mindfulness, but they know exactly where the ball is, even if it's on the side or in the back of their head. The same way, the military training. So mindfulness is used in many of the professional trainings, but they don't call it mindfulness. They just call it training.
Mhm.
But mindfulness and minding can also go with you when you are in the inner universe. So the mind can be outside, mind can be inside as well.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes. And I can see that too. So, how did you come up with the Relaxx app?
So this book, Journey from Life to Life. So I was giving some book talks,
Mhm.
and one thing led to another. And some people said I should do some workshop. So I planned a workshop, and we had a physical workshop going to happen. And then COVID happened, the March of 2020. So
Yeah.
then we did some virtual workshops, and people liked it. And that's when my idea came that if people like it and this can help, like 30 or 40 people at a time, can we put it in an app? And so that's how the app development happened. And
Okay.
then, of course, there
Your
is there
book.
is that space is, Calm is there, Headspace is there. They are all trying to do the same thing, and they have done very well. So we
Yes.
are new, but we are uniquely different. We are not saying we are better or something, but we are
Mm-hmm.
definitely, our approach is different. Um,
Okay. That's great. And then tell us more about your book, Journey from Life to Life, Achieving a Higher Purpose. Tell us more about that.
well, it's true, right? We all are going to die. It doesn't matter. It's like we don't like the word cancer, but also we don't like the word death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And cancer may not happen to all of us, but death will happen to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We plan for every little thing. You're going on vacation, you plan it to the last detail. Some people will do that, right? But what happens after death, we have no planning, except for, whether I'll be buried or I'll be cremated. But beyond
Mm-hmm.
that, we don't plan. And I had this question when, even from my childhood, it's like, what happens?
Right. And,
And,
and
there have been some of the patient stories, have kind of triggered me into thinking more about it.
mm-hmm.
And I had a bigger insight or better insight of this story that I can tell to other people. Like there was one patient who had a big surgery. He got gone home, but came back with some other infection. And, we were treating him, and everybody, all the kind of doctors were there to help him. And one day he called me. He was
Mm-hmm.
87-year-old. He
Wow.
called me and asked me to sit down. I sat down beside him. He looked into my eyes and said, I want to go now.
Mm.
And in my head, I didn't know what to say. But of course, as a doctor, we'll say, well, look, we can help you and this and that. But inside me, I thought maybe he's right. I mean,
Yeah.
and then I said, does he know where he is going? Or do I know where he is going?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that, there's some things like that also prompted me to write the book Journey from Life to Life. And it it also, the title, implies that we come back.
Yes.
But even if you don't come back, what happens? Can you do something about it now, about it? And that's what the book addresses.
All of those are great questions because I do believe that a majority of the time people know when they're ready to leave. Um, I know that's not really proven, but I do believe that a lot of times people know that you know it's their time. And those questions about, what happens next? Is there an afterlife? So many people have questions about that. And I think it's important to talk about those kinds of things. And I think
Yeah,
your book is a great way to do that.
you might even like the answers there. So it will be good. It gets into some, yeah, it gets into a lot of details like astral body and ethereal body, and yeah, but it goes in a very, I think, I mean, yes, there are maybe some words that are foreign to you and the reader, but it, I don't think it's a very boring reading. So
Mm-hmm.
it should be a good read for most people. At least
Okay.
that's the feedback I got.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's great because when it comes to talking about death, and it's a tough topic for a lot of people. So I think that having a resource, a book like yours, it can start to help people have those conversations
yeah.
that truly need to be had. Um, so I encourage everyone to check out Journey from Life to Life: Achieving Higher Purpose. And so, Dr. Bhatta, is there anything else that you would like to share with us about your book or the app or the work that you do?
No, I think we have covered everything. The only thing is Relaxx has 2x in it. So
Yeah,
Relaxx with 2x. And there is a relax.org website, ORG. So
great.
yeah,
Wonderful.
no,
And
yeah.
before we leave, Dr. Bhatta, I'd like to ask my all of my guests these two questions. And one of them is, what is something that you've learned in life that you would like to share with the listeners?
Life is a great teacher. No, there is nothing better teacher than that. And sometimes we do, it I mean, we learn by our own mistakes or our own successes. But the latest one I think I told you is this I learned from life. Many people teach meditation and they say witness your thoughts. Be a as a third party. That works, but I think the coexistence works much better. You can it's like once you go deep in the meditation and you are focusing on a chakra, focus on chakra. Your mind will come, your thoughts will come, your emotions will come. Just let them coexist there.
Mm.
So that seems to work well for me. So that's the new thing that I have learned, in my own way.
I really like that because one thing, sometimes that all of us are taught in life is to just suppress, what they consider negative feelings. But to me, feelings are feelings, whether it's anger, depression, whatever it is. And a lot of times for cancer patients, they're told be positive and all those things. I think that's important, but I think it's also just as important to feel those other feelings of anger, sadness, because all of those are valid feelings, especially during something like cancer.
Yeah. No, I think you touched a very good point. We tell people to be positive, and you can condition your mind to be positive, but if inside you that strength is not there, it will pull you down. But if you build the inner strength, then it's easier to be positive. If that makes sense to you. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my meditation and wellness, app and the routines, they give you that inner strength where it's easier to be positive. I mean, you talk to cancer patients,
Mm-hmm.
when everything is pulling you down,
Yes.
now your mind is, you're trying to pull it up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a struggle.
It's a
But if you
struggle.
give them a tool to make, inner strength, I mean, nothing is going to go away, but the strength will be there to deal with it. You have been
Absolutely.
with it. I mean, some people have it natural,
That's
but
right. It does make it easier because, as you mentioned, some people, they just they're able to, like you said, deal with it naturally. And other people, you can you have to help them to put in the work and use the tools to kind of bring that up.
Right.
And then once that comes up to another level, then they're better able to coexist and manage or face what's in front of them. And
Right.
so I think that that's so important because it's so easy to get stuck in fear and overwhelm that,
Yeah.
having tools like yours can really help. And Dr. Bada, what is next for you? You've done so much amazing work already. What's next?
Well, the next is to spread the word. I mean, I want to help as many people, as possible. I mean, that's the, you know, it's interesting that you say that. We all think about what's next, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was young, I saw my father, like he retired, but he was still, and he was, I mean, professor of economics, and he had PhD from London School of Economics. But I thought he should be resting now. He should be doing nothing. But he kept doing, and one day he was no more. I saw the same thing with my brother, elder brother, and he was always active and doing. He always, doing things and all that. And I was saying, why are they doing it? But now when it comes to me, I continue to do the same thing. so, so yes, we should all have what is next. But yeah, it's fun. Life is fun. It
Yes,
should be fun.
I agree. I agree. And so, in other words, rest can be a what's next.
Yeah, that's right. But I think whatever you do, you should. I mean, at least at my stage, whatever I do, it should be fulfilling. You should
Hmm.
be happy. It should not be something that becomes a burden. There is no need for that
I
in life.
agree. I agree, and I value that so much because a lot of times we spend so much time in life doing things and things that don't serve us, that don't make us happy, that we don't enjoy. And it really, that eventually affects our health as well. So I really see the importance of doing things that are fulfilling, and that add value and really help others. I think that's very important as well.
Then, Tala, you said it very well. But at the same time, I also say my work is inspires me. My colleagues inspire me. My patients inspire me. But it is also true that sometimes work sucks. And sometimes you have colleagues that are, you wish they were not there. So the reason I say inspire, because I choose to pick those moments that inspire me.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
life has all the moments.
I,
So one way is to stay happy is that you pick it's like, I give it, an example like donuts, right?
mhm.
So there are many, many donuts out there. I'm not advertising, but I like Tim Hortons, honey curler. So I go and pick that one. Doesn't mean the others don't exist, right?
That's
So
right.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
in life, you can pick those things that make you happy, make you positive, and just,
I think
or you
that's
can pick the other ones. Chili donut. It doesn't exist, but
I like that. I think that's so important. And sometimes we get so caught up in life that we forget to do that.
yeah,
And so I think that goes back to slowing down, being mindful, and recentering and saying, "Hey, what are the things that I want to focus on that are inspiring or that inspire me? What memories do I have?" That's another reason why it's good to take some time to live and have some fun because you can always go back to those good memories.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bada, for joining us and educating us as well. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you? I know you mentioned the Relaxx app. Where else can they find you on social media or
Yeah, I'm
website?
on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and relaxx.org, the website, they can send a contact or, email there. So
Okay.
I'm
And
easily findable.
and remember, listeners, that Relaxx is RELAXX. So there's two X's there. And then also you can find the app, on the Apple Store, App Store, Google Apps, anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in downloading that. Dr. Bhatta, before we leave today, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for joining us today. I would like to give a shout out to the listeners. Thank you for joining us as well. That is it for this Wednesday. Until next time, let's keep navigating cancer together. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Navigating Cancer Together. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe. And if you appreciate the show, drop a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. For notes from the show, visit ontheotherside.life and check out the podcast section. After you check out the show notes, head over to my gift shop and show yourself or someone special in your life some love with gifts of encouragement, hope, and positive affirmations. I would love it if you joined us for the next episode. Talk to you soon.